I don't mean to keep you in suspense, but I do want them to have, I want them to have a chance to set up. So while we're doing that, please, just one moment here. I want to acknowledge one other radio station that played rock and roll long before anybody else did. If you think that Rapid City and the Black Hills are just the mecca for country music, way back in 1961, KIMM radio in Rapid City opened the airwaves to rock and roll, the first station to do so in South Dakota. In 1966, KOTA radio personality Gene Taylor, a Marine with a wonderful commercial voice, purchased KIMM and immediately built up the listening audience. And he did it with the help of DJs like Doug Friend, Larry Laverne, Dick Widoss, Jack Breeze, Mayor Jim Shaw, so many others, including boss Brian Cummings, who was inducted earlier tonight. In 1988, Gene Taylor was inducted into the Broadcasters Hall of Fame. And tonight it's our great pleasure to recognize the radio station he brought to life and brought rock and roll to South Dakota on KIMM. And it's a pleasure to welcome tonight, accepting, is the current owner of KIM Radio, KIMM, is Mr. Carson Assen. Where are you, Carson?
Right here.
How are you, sir?
Good.
Say the name right.
Carson Assen.
Okay, would you like to say a word or two, please?
Well, I'd just like to accepting these plaques here for Gene Taylor. He started this radio station here in the 60s, and it was one of the top-rated stations in the country. At the time, that thing had get 80% of the listening audience in Rapid City, and it's been very successful, and it's been passed on to me here a couple years ago, and it's an honor for me to accept this plaque. Some great people passed through Kim Radio, and I appreciate it, and it's good to be here, and it's been a great show.
Say hi to Gene for us, will you?
I'll do that.
Thank you. I could spend the next hour up here talking to you about our featured performers this evening, the Mob. But I'm as anxious to hear them again as you. But let me tell you just a little bit about this fabulous group that came out of Chicago in the mid-60s. The first to boast a full horn section. They paid their dues with grueling one-nighters, all while honing their skills as musicians and showmen. Original members were Little Artie Herrera, Jimmy Ford, Mike Paris, Big Al Herrera, Gary Stevens, Jimmy Soul Holvay, Tony Roman, and Bobby the Cheese Ruffino. They traveled all over the country and Canada and were one of the top rock and roll bands to play Vegas lounges. Elvis, Bobby Darin, Sammy Davis Jr., and Margaret, the Righteous Brothers, were all fans of the Mob. But of course, most of us remember those magical times when several times a year they would come to Sioux Falls to play those week-long gigs to standing room only crowds at the Macamba Club. South Dakota loved the Mob, and it turns out the Mob really loved South Dakota right back, which is why they have returned tonight, not only to receive induction into our Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but to perform for you tonight on our stage, once again for the first time in 3 decades. Ladies and gentlemen, the Mob!
I'm about to lose my mind. Walk right on in, yeah. Let your love come running in. Open the door to your heart, baby. Open the door to your heart. Open the door to your heart. And let love come running in. Let your love come running in. Yeah. Let it flow like the river. Let it shine like the light. Take all my blind soul, baby, and why don't you give it sight? I'm trying to keep from loving you, but I've been loving you a little bit too long. Darling, darling, you've been so good to me, and that's what keeps our love so strong. Walk right on in, yeah. Let your love come running in. Open the door to your heart, baby. Open the door to your heart. Open the door to your heart. Let your love come running in. Let your love come running in. Let your love come running in, baby. Open the door. Now look here, Sioux Falls. We gotta get us a party going on here. Now either you open up that door, or I'm gonna have to get myself together and button it down for you. So come on. Come on, baby. Here I come. Open the door to your heart, baby. Open the door to your heart. Open the door to your heart. And let love come running in. Ha! Yeah. Oh, yes. Thank you very much. Come on, Jimmy. Let's get this party going, baby. These people want a party.